Family and Human Life Unit of the Catholic ArchDiocese of Lagos, in collaboration with the Knights of St Mulumba, Nigeria, Lagos Metro, organized a special pro-life vigil in reparation for abortion.
During the Second World War, the Nazis and their collaborators murdered 2/3 of the Jewish population of Europe. A quarter of the Jews executed were children.
Hitler killed out of our nation 1.5 million children. And Israel, in the 60 years of her existence, has killed 2 million babies through abortion.
If the blood of Abel was crying out to God from the ground, how much more would the blood of 2 million unborn children cry out to us?
The total number of Jews slaughtered in the Holocaust was more than 6 million.
In the United Kingdom, we're looking now at 7 million unborn children executed for the sole crime of being unwanted.
The number of people killed across the world during the Second World War is estimated to be between 40 and 50 million people.
We've had probably just under 50 million lives terminated in their mothers' wombs since Roe versus Wade.
Unlike other countries, in the United States, the legalization of abortion didn't come about through legislation, but as a result of legal action in the Supreme Court. Alan Parker, the founder and president of the Justice Foundation, is fighting to overturn the cases that legalized abortion in America.
In the year 2000, we began to have the opportunity to represent Norma McCorvey, who was Roe of Roe v. Wade, the main legal case that brought abortion to America in 1973. And we also began to represent Sandra Cano, who was Doe of Doe v. Bolton, which was a companion case to Roe v. Wade. And together, in January of 1973, those two cases were decided by the United States Supreme Court and legalized abortion on demand up to the moment of birth, including partial birth abortion, by our Supreme Court of the United States.
Like in America, Israel effectively has abortion on demand, despite restrictive laws being in place.
Israel has a population of only 7 million people. I could say like this, in 2007, 140,000 babies approximately were born, and 40,000 to 50,000 babies were aborted. That basically means that every 4th pregnancy is terminated in abortion.
Today, there is a small band of pro-life young Israelis who are demonstrating against what they see as a culture of death.
The Bible does not mention the word abortion. It also doesn't mention the word Trinity or lots of other different things. You have to dig a little deeper to find out what God's Word says about these things. But I'm looking now in Exodus 20 at the 10 Commandments, and the 6th commandment is, you shalt not murder. Now people will say to me, well, abortion isn't murder. Well, in the United Kingdom that is true, because abortion is legalised and therefore it is not murder. But how does God see it? That's the big question. The rationale behind the 6th commandment is found in Genesis 9:6. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God has God made man. It is because we're made in the image and likeness of God that killing innocent human beings is so heinous. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. God sees Jeremiah in the womb. He treats him no differently to after he's born to before he's born. He is still the prophet to the nations, even when he's in his mother's womb. If you're killing a child at this point, at 10 weeks from conception, it's no different to 10 weeks after birth. The child's just a fraction bigger, that's all. There's absolutely no moral difference. Child born and child in the womb is exactly the same word in the New Testament. No difference whatsoever.
The books of the law, especially Leviticus chapter 18 verse 21, it talks about the land itself will vomit you out. And of course, it's very interesting as we look at Israel today. Is it an accident? Is it just the Israeli-Arab conflict, or is it God speaking to us that key covenant cities like Hebron, Bethlehem, the city of David, Judea and Samaria, I mean, these are holy places, are in the hands of Israel's enemies.
If the blood of Abel was crying out to God from the ground, how much more would the blood of 2 million unborn children cry out to us? If we could hear those silent screams, things would change.
We just allow the silence to continue. And of course, it's not just the silence of the unborn child. I believe it's also the silence of the women that have had abortions. And we very rarely in society hear those women speaking out about their abortions. Very often because they're grieving. Very often because they thought perhaps this would be the answer to their situation.
We can turn things around, but it's a matter of prayer, it's a matter of fasting, it's a matter of petitioning with tears before the throne of grace that God would hear our prayers, that it may go well with us.
2 Chronicles 7:14, I think everyone knows this verse by heart. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal their land. That promise is just as good today as it was when it was spoken.
It's important for intercessors in America and around the world really to be what I like to call investing prayer and intercession. The Jewish people are the Messianic race and the root of the Christian faith. And we're sort of foolish not to be praying for that root people.
We're not talking about a quote-unquote believing nation. This nation does not, for the most part, have a revelation of Yeshua the Messiah. And therefore we need to stand in the gap for her until her salvation, which will then deal with the abortion issue.
We need the international prayers of the body worldwide to support us through this. We can't do it on ourselves. When Moses was fighting with Amalek, Joshua was in the battle with his sword, and Moses was lifting his arms. And we're in the battle here in Israel. Ba'ad Chaim is standing in the gap, in the battle, fighting with our swords and saying, we want to save the babies. We're on the streets, we're providing the women, we're counseling the women, and we need the prayer of the body abroad as Moses to lift up their hands and say, oh God, strengthen these people in Israel for this work.
And now it's time to say goodbye to a world that I never got to live in. Good.
Dr. Charles Mbelede, Grand Knight of the Knights of St Mulumba, the Catholic Church in Nigeria, speaks on the essence of the vigil and sensitization program.
You know, the Catholic is pro-life, the KSM is pro-life, that's the Honored Order of Knights of St Mulumba Nigeria is pro-life. The entire idea is to sensitize the entire populace that abortion is evil. And we have facilitators, and of course from the film that was shot a while ago, you would have seen the evil of abortion. And we're trying to say that the young child has right to live. That life should be exercised, he's defenseless and should be allowed to live.
So what are the features today from this vigil and discourse that will begin the effective sensitization and empowerment of people to understand the perils of abortion and begin to take action on it?
Well, you can see that the facilitators are trying to give us a broad view. They have stimulated an awareness of the evil of abortion, and of course, they have told us the damages that a woman can have For example, young girls go to have fake abortions. They don't go through the correct medical procedures, and in the end, they end up not being able to have the mothers at a time in the future. And of course, like we said earlier, the Knights of St Mulumba, Nigeria, in collaboration with Ozanam House, we have a house somewhere in Lagos at Ikeja, where young pregnant girls are housed. You know, we help them, we nurture them to have their baby from start to completion. And the entire idea is to make sure that they don't abort their child. You know, you help them, nurture them, and see them to logical conclusions.
So as it begins here at the Church of Divine Mercy, Lekki, are we going to see further sensitization, awareness spread out? Because this is something that needs to even get through social media to the younger generation who are prone to this.
Yes, that's what we've done. A while ago, I just mentioned that we started this at St. Agnes last year. This year we're here. Next year we're going to another region of Lagos. And this is not only in Lagos. The entire Knights of St Mulumba, Nigeria, over 12,000 knights and ladies. Pro-life is part of our activities, which we use to sensitize the entire world. So it's not only limited to Lagos. We do this virtually all the length and breadth of this country. So the sensitization, the core area is for the children, the secondary school, the universities, and of course the married audience, not only to the people you see here.
What's your final message to everyone about the issue of abortion?
Well, the final message is that you should respect the unborn child. He has right to live. Give him child. He's defenseless. You know, let him see through. You saw the witnesses from girls that were supposed to be aborted, and they are very successful people. So the entire thing is that a child has life, has right to live. Give him the chance to survive. Give him the chance to make a career in life. Don't kill a child. Abortion is murder, and that's what we're trying to preach.
With a forum like Live and Let the Unborn Child Live, the Catholic Church of Divine Mercy, Lekki, Lagos, has once again asserted the pro-life stance and position of the Roman Catholic Church worldwide.
It's time to say goodbye.